Good afternoon. I'm Martin Cowart, and welcome to Noonday Meditation and Contemplative Prayer Power Hour, where we come together to love and support each other through this pandemic. Because when we love and support each other, we reclaim our power. We often get lost in there's so much going on, this disruption. I know for me, the disruption is just can zap my power. The drama of the universe right now can so easily pull us in to stuff we can't control, to stuff we can't do anything about. But we want to because because of the goal, the love within us, the caring within us feels the pain of what we're going through, the pain and the suffering of what the world is going through. And so with the power of acceptance, the power of accepting the world exactly as it is, including the coronavirus, including the political climate we live in, by accepting it exactly as it is, we can find common ground and common connection through love, through empathy, through compassion. And then we can bring leadership into this country that shares those values with us. Wow. Let's see, I thought somebody just said hello. No. If you check in, do me a big favor and just type in and let me know you're here just by typing into the chat box. It makes my life joyful to see you here. Hold on a minute here. I don't know what happened. Something I like to have open. Just give me a second. Bear with me. All right. There's so much power in acceptance. And right now it's very difficult for many of us, which is why we need each other. You know, for me to fully understand acceptance, I find that it's in the suffering, it's in the failures, it's in the difficulties that we're forced to accept things we might not like. I mean, I'm not saying I like what's going on. I feel the pain of what's going on, and I'm sure you do too. But by accepting it, I'm able to step in more fully into my power, knowing that I can be part of the solution by accepting versus resistance. Acceptance comes from love, resistance comes from fear. So if we're resisting the world as it is, if we're resisting everything, we're just going to create more resistance. We're going to create more friction. But by accepting it as it is, fully, life as it is, ourselves as it is. You know, I didn't really understand this idea. I've been a spiritual student for over 40 years, and I really never totally understood the power of acceptance until after my mother died and my business then failed. Because I went into a big depression shortly after my mother died because I didn't achieve, largely because I didn't achieve the levels of success. Hey, Mindy, how are you doing? I knew you'd pop in here somewhere in a minute. We're talking about the power of acceptance. And I was just saying that I didn't really understand the power of acceptance. I didn't understand the power of that tool. It was more of an intellectual effort. I understand the idea of it, kind of from an intellectual perspective. But I had to go through something like the death of my mother and the pain of that. And then I had to go through the collapse of my business and the pain of that pain of loss, in order to realize that it was all based on a perception that I needed to achieve something, that I needed to be something other than what I was. that I could not accept the world as it is or myself as it is. I had to do something about it. I was certainly like that when, soon after President, I was a big supporter of Hillary, and I was very engaged on Facebook with all that political climate. And soon after Trump became president, I was determined that I was going to save the day. Save the day, save the world. I'm the rescuer of the world. I got pulled into that drama. Like, what the hell am I going to do? You know, all I did was just add more fuel to the fire. I had more fuel to the drama. And finally, I had to say, you know what? This is what's happening. You know, and I helped make it happen. I helped create this. It wasn't those people who elected Trump. It's the world we created. And we're all in it together. And once I got into that space of acceptance, everything began to shift. I began to accept and say, and really begin to accept that everything is was within a divine purpose and for the evolution of the human soul. And the beauty is, once we begin to accept that as the way it is, then we can accept our role in it and our participation in it. Because then we can step into that divine power within. God is not something out there pulling the strings. God is in us pulling the strings. And we can either pull the strings or allow God to pull the strings by accepting things and trusting and having faith that it's going to all happen. Or we can choose to resist it, and we can live in fear, which many of us have done and many of us continue to do, because we don't believe that there's something we can't touch, feel, and experience is real. But that's where the power is, you see. That's where our power is. And again, you caught me at the tail end of saying we need each other, because it's too scary to do alone. Love is relational. Love is relational. It's a relationship with ourselves. And I'm really on this idea of making our primary purpose self-love, because the more we love ourselves, the more we're able to love it. We're afraid sometimes to love, because we might be let down, but because we've let ourselves down. We haven't lived up to whatever our expectations of ourselves are supposed to be. Because we're always trying to self-improve. I was trying to self-improve. But what if we begin to get real more self-accepting, radically loving and accepting ourselves and the world exactly as it is? And from a place of love, we can create something new, create a new world. Because everything we do will be done with love. I'll give you an example. And I know Mindy will appreciate this, because she likes fresh vegetables. But I love fresh vegetables in the summer. I particularly love making salad. Now, I have two ways to make a salad. One can be a task. I'm hungry. I need to eat. I don't have much time. So let me run into the kitchen and throw some things together. It becomes a task. And I'm thinking, how quick can I get this done so that I can eat and get back to whatever I was doing? Because I was not, and the thing is, I wasn't making that salad my primary purpose. I didn't think it was worthy of purpose. Where would I be without a good salad? And you know what? This is the difference. If I decide and accept the fact that, one, I'm hungry, I need to eat, and I accept the fact that I'm really a good cook, I'm a chef, and I'm really good at cooking, and I really know how to make a really good salad, and I've got some really wonderful fresh tomatoes and lettuce, and they've got beautiful, vibrant. All of a sudden, I've shifted from it being a task to do to an opportunity to bring presence into the moment and make a salad, and let that presence make the salad. And boy, does it change the way it changes the whole dynamic. All of a sudden, the colors of the salad, it becomes a creative, it becomes a love. It's out of love I'm creating this salad. And you can taste the difference too. You can taste the difference between a salad I made from love and a salad I made out of haste as a task. And I use that analogy because it's everything we do. If we can get present in every single moment, accept every single moment as it is, everything will shift. Then the doing becomes something from curiosity, etc. It becomes a joy to make the salad, not a task. It can even become a joy. I look at my kitchen right now; it's a mess in there right now because I didn't clean up last night. I got to clean up today. So my husband said he'd do it, but I look around at it. I'm like, oh, this is look at all this stuff we got to clean up. Then I said, you know what? It's just moving dishes around. And I've got some beautiful dishes. I'm lucky to have all these great materials and tools and things to make a great salad. So when I shift, like, well, if I'm gonna make my primary purpose for the next 10 minutes cleaning this kitchen, I got to clean the kitchen one way or the other. I got to make a salad one way or the other. But if I make that if I accept the fact that I got to make a salad, or I accept the fact that the dishes need to get washed, fully accept it. Is that something? And also be grateful that I have the capacity to do it. My dog can't do it. My dog can't even get her food out of a bag by herself, much less clean up the dishes. But that's what separates me from the animal kingdom. I have awareness, I have consciousness that I'm able to be in the image of the creator. I'm able to create a salad and create up afterward. I think you might be a twin. I think you might be my twin. I know, isn't it great to go through that? We probably are twins. We are. Remember, many humans, one being. Yes, we are probably that. True. Yes. And isn't it fun? Doesn't it just take on a whole new meaning when you? I've got something on my calendar now. When I take an hour for lunch for my husband and I to have lunch. We're here together, so I think, well, why don't we have a nice lunch together? So I'm instead of like, let's just go make some lunch, make some sandwiches, get back to what I'm doing because it's so important. What I'm doing is so important that I said, we're going to take an hour for lunch. And we're going to make some quesadillas today or something. We get out the griddle and we accept the fact that we're hungry and then we accept we got all the things we need to make a good quesadilla. And we'll make quesadillas today for lunch. And it makes today fun, enjoyable. There's nothing I have to do. Nothing any of us have to do except show up with love and gratitude in the moment. Acceptance, powerful tool. It is the gateway into the spiritual realm. It is the act of acceptance, the surrender of a letting go of our need for things to be different. Our letting go of resistance is the act. The opposite of resistance is acceptance. The opposite is resistance. When we let go of our resistance to the world as it is and begin to accept it, everything changes and we have our power. That's a fun way to live, isn't it? You had a good time making that salad, I'll bet. Let me see what Eckhart Tolle has to say. I know you're reading his book. Have you started it yet? It's a good book. Inspires my talking every day sometimes. It's been inspiring it lately anyway. Let's read something called Awakened Doing. This is what Eckhart says about awakened doing. And again, if you're joining me, please say hello. Tell me your name. Tell me you're here. It's nice to know. Otherwise, I just see numbers on my screen, and glad to have people stop by. But it's even more fun when I actually get to know who you are and know who's with us. So, and I like your comments too. So we're going to read from A New Earth, Eckhart Tolle, Awakened Doing. Wow, I'll tell you too, this book right now in this pandemic is like, talk about prophecy. See, this doesn't make some sense right here. Awakened doing is the outer aspect of the next stage in the evolution of consciousness on our planet. The closer we get to the end of our present evolutionary stage, the more dysfunctional the ego becomes. In the same way that a caterpillar becomes dysfunctional just before it transforms into a butterfly. But the new consciousness is arising even as the old dissolves. Did you feel that from the last 4 days of I don't want to get political, but did you feel that in the last 4 days of the Democratic National Convention? Did you feel the essence of love and empathy and compassion? How men and women, how we're connecting, how we're uniting in the midst of all this suffering. The suffering and the pain we're all experiencing is uniting us and our hearts because we know this is too painful. And I have all the faith in the world that together we're going to move ourselves out of this darkness into a wonderful, wonderful new earth. And we're participating in it right now. But the new consciousness is arising even as the old dissolves. We all kind of want the old to dissolve a little faster, don't we? But it doesn't always work that way. I wish it could happen like right now. But this gives me hope. We are in the midst of a momentous event in the evolution of human consciousness. This is not just for the material world. This is the shift in human consciousness to create a whole new way of living on the planet. But they won't be talking about in the news tonight. That was 15 years ago. I think we are talking about that in the news right now. I think that's exactly what we're talking about in the news right now. That's exactly what we were seeing at the DNC. We weren't in battle. We weren't beating people up. We were talking about what's good and what's right. Empathy, compassion, decency, care. Those are human values. That's what we're of. That's what human beings are made of. On our planet, and perhaps simultaneously in many parts of our galaxy and beyond, consciousness is awakening from the dream of form. This does not mean all forms of the world are going to dissolve, although quite a few almost certainly will. It means consciousness can now begin to create form without losing itself in it. It can remain conscious of itself even while it creates and expresses form. Why should it continue to create and experience form? For the enjoyment of it. Simply for the enjoyment. It's fun to create. It's fun to create a salad. It can be fun to wash the dishes if you just change your attitude about it. For the enjoyment of it. How does consciousness do that? Through awakened humans who have learned the meaning of awakened doing. Awakened doing is the alignment of your outer purpose, what you do, with your inner purpose. Awakening and staying awake. Through awakened doing, you become one with the outgoing purpose of the universe. Consciousness flows through you into this world. It flows into your thoughts and inspires them. It flows into what you do and guides and empowers it. It's not what you do, but how you do what you do determines whether you are fulfilling your destiny. And how you do what you do is determined by your state of consciousness. Again, if I'm in a state of consciousness where making a salad is from a place of I got to get it done, it's a task, it's not particularly fun, I'm not particularly interested in doing it, I just want to make a salad and eat, then it's going to shift how I do it. It's going to shift how I participate in the doing of it. But if I allow myself to let go of all the ideas of what I should be doing and just be in that purpose to making this salad the most important thing I've got to do in the next few minutes, everything changes. So we can make our primary purpose to love ourselves and create a new earth from love and joy and prosperity from our beingness. Allow being to create, do the doing, awaken doing through us. I know we're going to create a new earth. We are creating it right now. A reversal of your priorities comes about when your main purpose for doing what you do becomes the doing itself, or rather, the current consciousness. Read that again. A reversal of your priorities, my priority to get what I got to get done, go get my lunch and get back here and get to work, has shifted from no, my primary purpose in the next few minutes is to go make that salad, go make those quesadillas. And I'm going to let consciousness, awakened consciousness, make the quesadillas, do the doing. That's awakened consciousness. I know exactly what you're talking about. My husband thinks I'm crazy because I talk to the lettuce. But what you're exactly spot on, Wendy. You're allowing. What was doing was you were feeling the joy and the gratitude of this beautiful tomato that you had created. The creator in you created the tomato for your joy and benefit. That's in harmony. Yes, and I was so happy with the tomato. And doesn't that feel good? Isn't life supposed to feel good? Particularly in all this crap going on around us? That you could just get so much joy out of a simple tomato? Wow, that's abundance. That's living from abundance. I love that. Love it, love it. A reversal of your priorities comes about when the main purpose for doing what you do becomes the doing itself, or rather, the current of consciousness that flows into what you do. The current of consciousness is what determines the quality. Another way of putting it, in any situation, in whatever you do, your state of consciousness is the primary factor. The situation and what you do is secondary. Future success is dependent upon and inseparable from the consciousness out of which the actions emanate. That can be either the reactive force of the ego or the alert attention of the awakened consciousness. You notice it wasn't about right or wrong. It wasn't about duality. It was about a choice. between the reactive force of our ego, the resistance, or the alert attention of awakened consciousness. All truly successful action comes out of that field of alert attention rather than from ego and conditioned unconscious thinking. I feel good. It's Friday. I'm actually going out to my brother's farm. He has 5 acres out in the country up near Vermont, and I'm gonna go up there and just got a pool, hang out by the pool, and have a few friends over who've also been quarantined to enjoy some good food, some good tomatoes and good salads and stuff like that. So looking forward to that. I'm driving up this afternoon. 2 of my coaching clients called me yesterday to say they couldn't meet with me on Friday. Could I reschedule? I said, absolutely. So now I get to take off a little early. Actually, I get to cut the grass before I go. But let's meditate. I get to cut the grass before I go, I should say. And I noticed that when I'm cutting the grass, I have a wonderful new green electric lawnmower. I never had an electric one before, and I just love that little puppy. So I get to, as soon as I'm through with this, I get to go outside, and my primary purpose is going to be to use my new lawnmower and cut my grass. And I'm also excited the fact that I have a yard and grass to cut. I could look at that as like, oh, I got to go cut the grass. Or I could say, oh, I get to go cut the grass. Then I get to enjoy doing it. Yeah, what a difference it makes. Anyway, that's a minute. Yesterday, everything didn't work. Today, we're going to make all this stuff work. Are y'all here? Are you hearing me okay? I'm hip. I'm hip. We all are hip. Thank you. I love being hip. So let's meditate. Let's put your arms up in the air. And the reason why I like to do that is I want to just feel the presence of life within us. What raised your arms up? We forget presence. We forget life, that life force, because it's what we are, and we take it for granted. But if you weren't alive, you couldn't raise your arms. You'd be dead. So when you raise your arms up, you're acknowledging the presence of life within you. So be proud, sit up proud, and get present to the moment. You might even put your hand on your heart for a moment and feel your heart beating. Feel the magnificence, just like that tomato of your own heart. It's just, you don't even have to think about it. It's just beating, bringing in oxygen and spirit from outside, mixing with your blood and creating that life force within you. And then our brains with billions and billions of neurons, like the stars, they're endless. There's infinite billions of neurons. You take all your brain cells, wow, it's one big infinite brain, isn't it? Feel the power of all that. That's what's going on. That's what's present. And if you get some thoughts come up in your head, that's what happens. That's what happens with all those neurons. We have thoughts. Just don't argue with the thought. Don't resist the thought. You know, it's like a cloud going across the sky. Sometimes we have clear thoughts. Sometimes we have cloudy thoughts. One's not any better or worse than that's just what it is at the moment. Accepting it as it is. Accepting our moods. Maybe you've got some emotions right now. It's not to resist them. We don't want to resist them, and we don't want to attach to them. because they're impermanent. It's just the moment. So we accept the thought, we accept the feeling, and we let it go. Think it, feel it, let it go. Think it, feel it, and let it go. And get still. Get still until another thought, another feeling comes across the radar screen. And then be grateful for the thought. Be grateful for the thinking mind, the ability to think. Just say thank you and let it go. Allow yourself to get even more still. Grateful for the practice. Every time we practice meditation, contemplative prayer, it's an opportunity to get very intimate with ourselves. It is the most. It's what we can do to express self-love. It wasn't just a suggestion by Jesus to love your Lord God with all your heart and all your mind and all your soul and all your neighbors as yourselves. He commanded it. If you want the keys to the kingdom of heaven, love your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. And that's not some God, that's you. Love the essence of who you are. And then love the other as if they are who you are too, because they are. Allow yourself to fall fully into unconditional love as you hear that bell. Allow the vibration of the bell to guide us into a deeper love for ourselves and the world.
My lawnmower gonna get in the way of your videos?
Allow the bell to waken you up from your trance and reset. Wake up the presence within you. Welcome back, everyone. I love listening to the sounds of life, like lawnmowers and kids and birds. It's all life. Meditation and prayer is not about quieting the outside world, it's quieting the internal nonsense in our heads so we can hear life in the outside world more fully and be more grateful for it. Because I get to go turn on my lawnmower in just a few minutes, play in my yard, cutting my grass, our grass in our yard. Anybody have anything they want to type into the chat box, please go ahead. If not, then we will sign out. If you'd like, I recommend getting out your journal and spending a little time reflecting on what you discovered about yourself in the last 50 minutes. And there's a lot of power in accepting yourself. And maybe you want to say, what are the parts about yourself that you didn't accept, that you've been resisting, that you might want to let go of? Anything you might want to let go of. What are you resisting? What are you holding on to? Who would you be without your story, as I like to say? Who would you be without your story? You'd be disidentified with that story, and that's freedom. That's why I asked that question. Who would you be without your story? Free. Free to create a new story every single moment. Because you got the power of the Creator to do it from love. So let's go have some fun. Let's go do some creating. Let's manifest a new earth built in love and joy and prosperity. And let's enjoy ourselves rising from the ashes for a new day, a new world, a new earth. We're doing it. We're doing it. We are doing it. And it's so much fun. Jump in here and join us. Trippy. Life is trippy. It is a trip. That's what it's called, a journey. It's a trip. It's a very exciting, trippy journey with curiosity and adventure and all sorts of challenges and all kind of good stuff. So, see y'all soon. I'm ready too. Let's go do it. May love and prosperity prevail.